We're going to replace the tank to bowl gasket. And why are we going to do that? So if you notice on the floor here, we can't see it very well, but there is a red stain, a brown, it's a rust stain actually. So then I'm actually going to check here, and it's rusting. So that means it's leaking. So that means that the bolts have corroded, and they are leaking, and the bolts have corroded. Okay, the bolts are corroded, as you can see there. We're also going to replace this as well. I went to tighten it, just broke off. And then I move this, and you can move it. So we're going to replace the gasket, tank to bowl gasket. So the first things we're also replacing, we're always going to replace our shutoff valve. We turned off the water. This toilet is about 20 years old. And we're going to take a peek inside here, but we're replacing the shutoff valve. Any major work, if the shutoff valve is older than 15 years, depending on hard water, you replace the shutoff valve, the hose, and then we're replacing the gasket, and then of course the bolts. Kneel on, and I'm wearing old clothes, and so first off we shut off the water, and we're going to unloosen that, and then unloosen up here, and then we're replacing the hose, and then replacing the shutoff valve. So we're going to do the shutoff valve first, so that the occupants of the home can use the water, because right now the water is off in there. So we're going to got a little bucket, and we're going to sponge that out and just pick up that water, because we're going to try to be as clean as possible. But we're just going to soak up that water and then dump it in a little bucket. So we mopped up all the water, so it's dry underneath here. And then that's actually first step, is before you shut off the water, mop up all the water, because you want to limit the amount of time that the household water is off. But anyways, we mopped up the old water here, and I just used a rag. You can use a sponge, and I put a little bucket. Now it will, if you put it down another sink or whatever, it will make a little bit of stain, because it is rust water. It's easy to clean up, but this is rust water. It is not sewage water. So now we're going to proceed and take that valve off. So first, this is just hand tight. If you have to use a let's see, it's just hand tight, and a bucket underneath to catch that. Then I put a little bucket that fits underneath there, and I'm just unloosening this. And it's hand tight, but if you have to have a wrench, you can put a wrench on it. See, it's interesting. I just bumped that, and that other bolt fell out. So, and they're rusted completely off. So that's why we're changing it. So the next, this is a 5/8 connection wrench to wrench it off. And I'm going to set that aside. We're going to get a new one. And then that's 15/16. This one's 15/16 here, and then a wrench on this, and this will unloosen. So we were able to put a 15/16 on that back one, and then this one, I put a nut crescent wrench, and then it just unloosened it. I cracked it open. And then it's you can put something on. You can put a wrench on here too, but this is going to take off this part so if this isn't super tight, this is not probably the best place to put a wrench on, is there's a flat spot here, but luckily this wasn't super tight, so we're able to break it free with wrenches and then just back it out by hand. So yeah, we just back this out by hand. So this is the end of it. We're going to take a little rag with vinegar and clean this up and clean the threads up, but it looks pretty good. This ferrule, you want to make sure that it's clean, and there's some old pipe dope, and then we're replacing this valve here. But I'm going to first clean this up with some vinegar soaked rag and clean all that up. Looks in pretty good shape, but I always replace these anytime I'm doing major work because these are the same age. These go to. So we have a little rag here to wipe up. Best is if you have a little bucket put underneath here, so you can see it's dripping. So okay, we clean this up with a vinegar, a little bit of vinegar on a rag. We clean this up. Everything looks pretty good. I'm running my finger here and wearing gloves, and I don't feel any bad spots or nicks. Okay, here's the new valve box. It's a multi-turn. And it comes with a new nut, a little inside ferrule, and then it comes with another nut here, but ours is good. Ours is good, we don't need to replace it, but we came with it. And this is a brass craft. I got this at the home store, big box store, 1/2 inch, 3/8. And this is the old one here. So they look the same, the same. So yeah, this is the old one, and this is the new one. So we're going to Teflon tape and then put that on. So I'm putting Teflon tape, and I'm putting this the direction that I'm going to screw on the nut, and I want to put this is the heavy duty Teflon tape, and I want to put it 6 times around here, and you can go ahead and hit. So basically what we're going to do is we have our Teflon tape wrapped around here, and then we're going ahead and push this on all the way. Push it on, and then we're just leaving that ferrule on there, just like that. And we hand tighten this, and then we'll wrench tight it, but not super tight. So we actually ended up using the new nut. Use the new nut because the old one was slipping. So I tightened that, put a wrench on here to tighten it, and I tightened it pretty darn tight because it won't pop off. I'm wiggling it and shaking it, but really I don't know, maybe like 80 foot-pounds of torque, or maybe 150 foot-pounds of torque. I put it pretty freaking tight because I don't want that to pop off. So I use my crescent wrench here, and then my 15/16 back here, and then I just tighten this like a mother. I usually don't like to do that, but I just did, so it doesn't. So this is pretty tight on there. So now we're going to turn the water back on. So water's back on. It's best to have a buddy on your cell phone and have your buddy. One watching this, and then one watching one turning on the valve, the house valve, main water. So in case this has any issues, you can tell your buddy to turn off the water. But we're just going to check for leaks. And so far I don't see anything. I think that's from before, but we're going to check this for leaks. And then we'll go on to our next adventure. And now we're free. So we're going to pick it up both hands, and I'm going to put on my cardboard here, and then we're going to start cleaning it up and pulling it out. So this just pulls out, use both hands. Valve, 3-inch gasket, it's a 2-hole. So see where it was leaking? See the rust spots? So we've got a new one of these. And then we're going to take this out, and then we're going to go to our rag with vinegar and clean this up here. This is the bowl. So That just pulls out. This is the old one. And then we'll use our vinegar and clean that up. A vinegar soaked rag. Soaked rag to clean this up. And we're also going to replace this as well. So this is the bottom of the tank. We kind of cleaned it up as best we could. You could get a little Brillo brush, a nylon pad, but I'm not going to, because the rubber is going to be where you see the mark. So I cleaned it up the best I could. And so we're using some adjustable pliers, channel locks, and they're not big enough for that. Broke it loose with these, and then we're going to back it out hand tight. But yeah, these jaws wasn't wide enough, so this is all we had at the time. But this shouldn't be on there too aggressively. If it is, we're going to replace this unit, but it as you can see here, hand tight. Usually these inside these wear out because people use a toilet bowl cleaner and then it eats all the rubber out. So just taking that out by hand. The rubber gasket looks pretty good, but we're going to replace it anyways because it's the same age. So we're going to pull this out, pull the hose off here, disconnect it from here, and we're going to replace just this piece. This is our unit. You can see some rusting there. The flapper's worn. So usually this goes as well, this gasket, and then the only way to replace it is to pull the tank off. Might as well replace it now. So those bolts heads were really corroded on there. I don't know if you can see them, but I've got a putty knife and I'm just pushing that off and scraping those heads off. And so we're going to clean that up with some vinegar. But yeah, those bolts were rusted on there. And scraped off the old washer. Okay, we cleaned both sides the best we can. Again, you can get a little scratch pad and a little nylon scratch pad and clean that up. I'm not too terribly concerned because the mounting surface is clean and on the other side. And then we're going to flip it over. We'll work it on a piece of cardboard and we clean this up just the best we can as well. And so this is the complete kit. We got this at the big box store, Home Depot to be exact. We're only going to replace this piece here, our valve. We're going to live with our valve. Our valve, if it goes bad, so here's the old valve. If it goes bad, that's a lot easier to take out than this whole tank. Old one's on the left. And this is for a 2-inch opening drain valve. 2-inch opening drain valve. So we're taking it apart. This goes inside the tank. This tightens outside the tank. We're going to feed this through. And then we're going to hand tighten that nut and position this to where we want it, and then we tighten it up. Okay, we're going to adjust this here to be the same height as the old one. So I'm going to put those up against each other. It's going to be the same height as the old one. And this just adjusts. It's adjusting that. Okay, for now we're going to get this chain out of the way. And we just looped it here just for now to get it out of the way so we don't pinch it underneath. But that's kind of our orientation. But I just got this chain out of the way to get that excess. We're going to adjust it later. Okay, I like that orientation. We have some clearance, even though it looks like it's hitting, but it's not hitting the, and then it's going to go straight inside the drain valve. So we have enough room down there to hook on our nut. The chain's not pinching. And then we flip it over. So here's the nut, and then I tightened it hand tight and then maybe a half a turn. And we have cardboard washer. Here's a cardboard washer. Here's the instructions here. So the mounting nut, and then there's a cardboard washer that goes between the tank and the nut. From the rod, our float rod to the top of that, and our orientation is still good. Our flapper is still, the chain's not bound, chain's not binding. So now let's put our bolts in that we're putting on, but we've got new bolts from another kit. Set. All we want is the bolts. This is a 3-bolt setup, but we want stainless steel. I believe these are stainless steel bolts. We only need 2 of them, but we had to buy this extra kit. So that's going to go rubber side down, metal side up. We're going to put our bolts in. I'm going to do the other side, push that through, and then put our tank on. And then this is going to bolt on. That's tight. Our bolts are in. We got our seals. And then we're going to guide our bolts through our bolt holes. Again. Okay, tip. Put that gasket on this end first. And I push it on so it encompasses the nut. Need to push it on a little bit more, because so it goes on straight, and then we're going to put it on like this. Okay, our bolts are going through the holes on that side. This is just resting right now. Obviously hold one end here, put your bolts on, put your nuts on, and we're just bracing it with one hand. If you have a helper to hold this, great. If not, and then so basically we're going to do a washer, and then a regular washer, and then a nut. And this is a double nut to secure it when we're finished tightening it. A rubber nut, a rubber washer, I'm sorry, and then a regular washer. We got that on both sides. And then we're going to tighten that evenly. And then I'm actually going to put a level on that tank. But let's tighten it down so it's fairly secure, and then we can walk away and check out the levelness. So we'll just keep these. This other kit, I don't know. The kit did come with these, so ignore my other message or note about buying this one kit. But we're just going to keep these for safekeeping. Except that other kit was a little better quality, but this kit will have everything you need on the tank. And what I've been doing, I have a 1/2-inch wrench here, and I tighten one side with the wrench. I tightened it a little bit, and then I tighten about this, and then go to the other side. Here's the other side. And then tighten that side equally, and then go to the other side, tighten that equally, and then check your level. So our level is pretty good. The tank is pretty secure. We're shaking the tank a little bit, and there's a little bit of play. There's our stop. I don't know if you can see the stop here. We're not going to rest all the way down because the water is going to compress that. And but we evenly tightened both sides, and then I'll put the double nut here. Okay, we took out our chain, and then now we readjusted it here. We readjusted it, so that's approximate where we're going to want that. So we have a little bit of, and then that's where it engages. We got a little bit of slack, as you can see there, but it's on the end, and this just presses out and readjusts. So we adjusted our chain. So this is the old hose. This is maybe a 10-inch. They did not have a 10-inch at the big box store. So we've got a 16-inch. It's going to loop. Not crazy about it, but this is like a 10-inch hose. Not crazy about the extra loop, but this is all they had, was this 16-inch. All your materials, and buy everything ahead of time. Buy whatever you need ahead of time, because to save you trips to the big box store. Because when you get right in the middle of it, you have all your tools out, and let's say you forgot a part. So I always buy several sizes. And obviously preferred would be to measure this, but we did not know the size. So I try to buy everything ahead of time, and even more, all the kinds of valves I need. You can always return it later if you don't need it. So luckily, because I did that, I actually bought this hose, I don't know, several years ago, and I had this in my spare parts. And this is a 9-inch. This is the one we need. And this is a new hose. So I lucked out. I already had this on stock in your parts bin. But try to get all the parts that you need for your project before you go out to the, to limit your trips to the parts store. But luckily I already had this, and this is a brand new one. The old one looks okay, but we're going to discard it and we're going to get the new one. We're going to use this new one. Again, we're going to Teflon tape. We're going to Teflon tape this end. 6 turns with our Teflon tape. 6 turns down there, and then we'll turn the water on, and we'll wipe the tank down, clean it up for the customer, and then go from there. Teflon tape 6 times around. Direction that we're going to turn on the nut. Direction that we're going to turn on the nut. 6 times. So here we are. We're just hand tightening this, and I'm going to hand tighten it and then tighten it just a little bit more. Our Teflon tape, some of it's unraveling, but we put enough on there. That nut, and we're just tightening it. Okay, now the moment of truth. Turn that on slowly and watch for leaks. 1, 2, and we're leaking. And then we also got a little nut water on. We're looking for leaks there. Looking for leaks there. Looking for leaks there. So it's about where it was. Now let's try it. For leaks here, I see a drop. Check for leaks there. Check for leaks here. See that we got a drop right there. So what we may have to do is put some gasket sealer and shut off the water. See, we got a leak there. We can tighten it. But yeah, we got a leak. I was afraid of that. So we got a leak right there. We're going to shut off the water. Shut off the water. Yeah, that's leaking there too. So we're going to shut off the water, flush it, drain this. And then mop up all that water and then replace our bolts with some gaskets, a gasket sealer. So we're back to mopping up the water. Here's our mop bucket, here's a rag. Mopping up the water, we need it dry again, so we're going to reseal those bolts because we're going to use the washers from the kit. I'm going to reseal those bolts. I'm going to use automotive gasket sealer, I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to gasket sealer the sealer with my 3H gasket sealer. 3H gasket sealer, aviation gasket sealer. We put a ton on those threads. We painted it up like, put an excessive amount. This is aviation gasket sealer. And then we also use the washers from the kit. So we're using aviation gasket sealer, and then we're going to set these down and go back to through our process. So we redid it, redid the bolts. Looks like they're still squeezing out, but the tank's tight. We put the gasket sealer down. Tank's really tight. We're level. Rubber washer because we had them. And I'm not sure if that's gonna sit flush on that. But our bolts our washers are kind of bowing out. I don't know if you can see there. That's tighter than I like. So see, our washer, we kind of pushed it out. So we could back it out a little bit. That's too tight, so I'm going to back it out so it doesn't bow out and so we don't push it out like that. So that's filling up. Now we're going to check for leaks down here. So we're going to check for leaks on the other side. And we double washered them. So that gasket sealer, aviation gasket sealer, I use that on everything. It's a dumb design on these toilets. So we're just going to check for leaks. Again, check for leaks here. Check for leaks here. Check for leaks here. Check for leaks. And then flush it again. I'm not sure if that's supposed to rest on top of that or not, because the tank with the water holds that gasket down, and then we got it bolted down. So then we check for leaks again, and then we flush it again. That seems to be operating just fine. No any issues there. Make sure our float is working, make sure it's not binding and or hitting against anything. The float looks good, valve looks good, it's coming up to height. It's slowly shutting off. That should shut off okay. There's a level there. And then we again go down here and check all around for leaks, and you might need a clean rag or a paper towel, and we want to check for leaks. I don't see any there. Check for leaks on the other side. Check for leaks here. Check for leaks here at this joint here. Check for leaks here. Oh, I did see a little bit of water here, so we're going to tighten this up a little bit. Just check for leaks everywhere.